So I used to be a teacher, actually, for a couple of years before studying to be a priest. And my dad is a teacher, too, so it's his birthday today, so happy birthday, Dad. And it's September. Lots of kids are back in school. And so my question to you is, why do schools exist? Well, to educate, right? We want to learn things, and that's great. That's why schools exist, but not everyone who's in school is always being a great student. Parents here, have you ever had a kid come to you at 9 o'clock at night or 8 o'clock at night and say, Mom, Dad, I've got this school project that's due tomorrow. And then you got to get out the glue and the glitter and the shoebox. And this happened to me when I was a kid. I remember having a diorama, one of those boxes that has a scene inside of it. It was due the next day, and I had totally squandered all the time I'd been given in class, all the resources I'd been given at school to work on it. I'd procrastinated. I wasn't a great student, and my mom and my dad helped me out last minute, staying up till 11 o'clock at night making this thing. So thanks, Mom and Dad. But I squandered what I was supposed to be doing. And in the gospel today, we hear about this parable of this steward, this manager, who, even though he's been given so much by his master, he's not a good steward of it. He doesn't use things appropriately. And then last minute, to make up for it, he's trying to do all these wheelings and dealings to kind of set himself up for success. So that was the question, why do schools exist? My next question is, why does the church exist? The church exists to evangelize. That is, to go out and tell everybody about Jesus, about how good it is to be in a relationship with him. That joyful message is what the church exists to spread. But how? How can you go out and evangelize and go tell other people about how good God is if you don't first know him? If you don't really know him deeply, you're not going to be a very good messenger about how great he is. And so we exist to evangelize as a church, but we have to get educated about God first, ourselves. We need to be catechized. And being catechized, learning about the truths of the faith, learning about the way to live the Christian faith in all of its fullness, isn't just a head activity. It's a heart activity too. And as we get to know God and live like Jesus, we get filled up with hope, with enthusiasm, that just naturally makes us want to go out and share it with other people. And the fruit of that is what we get to experience today. There's people here today who are coming into the church, and we're going to support them just like we would support all of each other in learning not just about God in a head sort of way, but in a heart way, getting to know him. Now, we can squander this too. We can squander all the resources that we're given in the church to get to know God better. And I'd like to give you just a short analogy. I have some friends who I know who are trying to learn Spanish right now. How successful do you think they would be if they studied for 10 minutes a week? Or an hour a week. Are they going to learn Spanish? No, they're not. They might learn a few words. They might be able to talk about Spanish to people. Oh yeah, Spanish, it's something I'm learning. Oh yeah, God, he's someone I'm learning about. But unless they're studying Spanish every day, unless we're encountering God, getting catechized, getting to know him in our head and our heart every day, we're not going to get a really close relationship with him. going to be a lot harder. So you owe it to the people out there who we want to evangelize to get to know him. But you also owe it to yourselves. You owe it to yourselves. In my own life, especially, before I really had an encounter with God, I suffered with a little bit of a social anxiety. I would be really nervous around other people and okay, where am I sitting? Where is this person sitting? Am I kind of set up in a good situation here in this social group? And I remember something happening to me when I started to get catechized. When I started to go to faith studies, Bible studies, Alpha, which we're running at the parish right now. I remember going to a Bible study once with some other men in my diocese. And I remember distinctly walking into the chapel to pray and just not caring who I was sitting next to. Because I'd grown in my understanding of God to a degree that he was the only one I cared about. And I felt good. I felt comfortable just being with him. It didn't matter who was sitting next to me. And that still exists in me today. I feel a lot more relaxed, a lot more comfortable about who I am because I know who he is. And so you owe it to the people out there to grow in your knowledge and love of God, but you owe it to yourself too. Because God wants us to all have a flourishing life. He wants us to be saved and come to a knowledge of the truth. A head and a heart knowledge of who he is. And in that light, we understand who we are as his children. This is something we can practically start doing right now. Maybe up until this point, we've been good at coming to Mass on Sundays. Maybe we haven't, but maybe we haven't done a lot during our week to learn about God, to pray, to get to understand the church. And so today, on the Jubilee of Catechesis, I want to encourage you. There's a ton of resources out there in the foyer. A ton of resources that you can just grab on your way out. It doesn't even take a long time. There's Bibles and there's books out there that there's QR codes you can take a picture of with your phone that'll link you to different resources that might be helpful for learning about God at home. There's sheets of paper with all sorts of websites and videos and talks that would be helpful. Grab one on your way out. There's these cards. Alex Craven, who's here at the parish, is running this series called The Lions of the Church, starting after Thanksgiving, where he's going to be teaching the history of all the different Leos, the Pope Leos of the church. Leo means lion. There's also, who here has heard of Formed? Anyone Formed? Oh, there it is. So if you grab one of these cards here, there's this website called Formed, and there's all sorts of videos, books, audiobooks available for free, or rather the church, Holy Trinity, has paid for an account so that all of you can have it for free. And you can just listen to an audiobook on your commute to work about the faith. Or you can gather with your spouse and take in a course on marriage. There's videos for kids there. You can sit down and show a cool show that kids would enjoy and love to watch, and then talk about it with them as a family. There's all sorts of options for ways that we can grow in our faith, but we have to put in some time, some effort. We have to be willing to put aside maybe a little bit of Netflix to watch some Catholic Netflix, formed.com, for example. You can go to Alpha. There's all sorts of different ways that we can learn more about the faith, but we need to do something. We need to do something. You owe it to the people out there, and you owe it to the person in here. And so my encouragement to you is this. Your assignment on this earth, which is to get to know God and to share him, shouldn't get done just the night before it's due. Start now. Start now, and don't squander all of these resources that are being presented to you, but be a good